This is your brother in Christ. This week we'll be starting a new series on Bible for Beginners, a quick overview of the Bible. Starting with creation. The Bible explains that God created the earth in 7 days, creating man on the sixth day, in his own image. Now, why would God create man in his own image? That's an awfully good question. God created man for the sole purpose of having a worshiper that could worship him willingly and love him willingly. For man has a choice between loving or not. The angels have always loved God and always will love God. It's in their nature. But man has the opportunity to not love God. The Lord quickly addressed him and just stated that he can eat from any tree in the garden except from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This gave him the opportunity to choose, to either choose the Lord's way or choose his own path. But by choosing the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he would also choose spiritual death. Spiritual death is defined as a separation between man and God. So for a time it worked out quite well. Adam and Eve walked with God in the garden. They were having a good old time until finally Eve was tempted by the serpent to take of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. She took it and ate it. It also invited Adam to take a bite. When they did this, they gained the knowledge of good and evil. So when the Lord returned back to them, they were hiding because they were ashamed of what they did. The Lord was looking at them. It's like, really? God knew where they were. But yet he was calling to them to give them the opportunity to present themselves. Once they presented themselves, they instantly started doing the blame game. The man blamed the woman. The woman blamed the snake. I could just imagine God scratching his head and saying, "What the heck? There's one frickin' tree in the garden. You could have any other tree. You could have the tree of life. There's life in the name of the tree, for pity's sakes. But you just had to go for the one tree I told you not to go for." Fortunately, this left God with a bit of a dilemma. According to his rules, the punishment for sin is death, separation from God. Unfortunately, that meant that Adam and Eve no longer could be with God in the Garden of Eden. So he had to send them out. But before he did that, he went ahead and set forth the plan for man's redemption. And you can find that when he addresses the snake, he says, "The woman's offspring will step upon your head, but you will bite his ankle." We won't be covering that in this episode, but that is a hint for later on. A few hundred years later, we get to a portion where mankind has basically forgotten God. They've gone their own way, gone their own path, and no one remembers God except for one man, Noah. Most of you guys have already heard the story of Noah. You know, the ark. Noah gathers the animals upon the ark. It rains for 40 days and 40 nights. Eventually dries out. Noah and all of his family land. Himself, his sons, and his sons' wives come out. They send the animals off to repopulate the world. And the rainbow promises for God never to flood the earth again. A few years ago we had a movie. There are no rock monsters involved in this at all. And there's no mental breakdown by Noah. He does not go all psycho weirdo on everyone. That was completely Hollywood. Just Hollywood. God's looking down, and the people have not left the vicinity of the ark yet. They're pretty much staying put, and they are building the Tower of Babel, which is this monolithically huge structure in order to reach God himself. I could just see God sitting up in heaven saying, "Really? Really, guys? I told you to go forth, and you went all of 5 feet. It's like, okay, fine. I'm going to force this issue. I need you guys to spread out so you can start covering what I've built for you guys to see. In order to halt the construction on the Tower of Babel and to get them to spread out, he confused their language. See, before this point, they all spoke one language, and they worked together as one people, which they could accomplish anything working together. But he wanted them to spread out, to expand to the edges of the earth. So he confused their language, and that's one of the ways that we get the variation of languages we do today, other than just the natural evolution of language itself. So right after the Tower of Babel, they just expanded outwards into every corner of the earth. Right after that, because they could not understand each other anymore, no family could understand another family, they then expanded out, giving us our great diversity we have today. Now Abraham heard from God to leave his hometown of Ur and to go south and to go towards Egypt. Abraham was a trader, and they were used to being pretty mobile, but this still took a bit because he had to leave his family in order to do this. He took his favorite nephew Lot with him. They packed up all they had and took off and went as the Lord commanded. I mean, this took a bit of faith to just, okay, pick up, let's go. And they all took off. They traveled around for a while. They went down to Egypt. They had a bit of a confuddle down there with Pharaoh. They came back up, and after a certain point, Lot and Abraham were having a bit of a problem. Basically, their employees were fighting a lot. There wasn't enough land to support both of their flocks. So Lot came to Abraham and basically said, dude, I don't want to get in a fight with you. I don't want there to be strife between us. I'm going to take my group and we are going to go separate. You pick one way, I'll pick another way. That way we won't have a fight between us. Abraham said, fine, just pick which way you want to go. Lot looked out, said, Sodom and Gomorrah are a nice little area down there. That's where I'm going to head. So he headed off that way. Abraham went the other way. So a few years passed by, and Lot's staying in the vicinity of Sodom and Gomorrah. At that time, the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and other kings in that area had a huge battle there. And fortunately, Lot's right in the middle of this. Well, Sodom and Gomorrah lost horribly and were sent off. Fortunately, this left Lot in a really bad position. He was captured by the other three kings. One of his servants escaped, went up, told Abraham what the heck happened. Lot's now in some serious crap. Abraham gathers all of his men together and actually goes on the first recorded night raid that we have. So Abraham led this night raid against the three kings and their armies and annihilated the three kings, absolutely wiped them out, saved Lot, and brought him back to Sodom and Gomorrah. The kings that just got their butts kicked from Sodom and Gomorrah came out. But Abraham didn't want anything to do with them, said, nope, we're not going to have anything to do with you. We just want to make sure Lot's safe, and they took off. I think that's where we're going to end today. I hope that really helped you guys out. If you liked it, please show your support by hitting that subscribe button so we can continue on these. If I already have the next episode out, I will put a link in the description right there. You can click on it. It'll take you automatically to the other one. But please do click that subscribe button before you go. As we have always ended these videos in the past, let's go ahead and pray. May the Lord guide you in all that you do. May the Lord bless everything you put your hands to, and may He make your way easier.